across now and see if that's going to work. So we should be going live, I think, Sam, here in about 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It looks as though we're live right now, my friend.
It says Pip Stellick is live now.
We are live. So I actually did that without my wife's help. And that is amazing to me because that never happens. I tend to mess that up. And so if those of you guys that are out there, if you can say hello, that would be awesome. Get in the chat box. I'm going to man the chat box, and Sam's going to rant about racism and money and gun control and mass shootings. And we're going to really get into some topics tonight. And I have a feeling before the hour's over, it's going to be very heavy. I'm just, and Sam's going, what are you talking about? I figure, why not? You know, if he wants a discussion, let's get a real discussion going, because we kind of agree on all the money stuff. And so maybe we need to get into something that isn't having to do anything with money. Maybe we need to get into other topics that maybe are a little bit more, what's the word I want to use? Opinionated? Controversial,
maybe.
So you can talk about anything you want, Sam. If you guys that are out there in Facebook world have any things you want us to talk about, we would be greatly appreciative of anything that you want to have, questions that you want to talk about. We would love to do that as well. For you guys that are on there, please say, and I know some of you guys are saying hello, I just haven't had a chance to get to the comments. So if you're out there, please say hello. I would greatly appreciate that. And so Sam, what do you got up tonight, my friend?
Well, I recently watched Varsity Blues, the education scandal, and it made me wonder, watching that, if paying a certain amount of money to get your son or daughter into school, if that's wrong, and I'm gonna say I don't think it's wrong. For a university to accept, say, $1 million for your kid to go to their school if they didn't make it through the conventional ways. I don't think it's wrong for a university. Obviously, me and Pip were talking about this, and he was mentioning, obviously, there's some tax benefits to being a university, or your designation, or no taxes paid or little taxes. Land, what'd you call it, Pip? Land.
Well, in the U.S., and I don't know, I'd have to look up if Harvard is. But most all of your state university systems, and there's some big ones. I mean, Michigan, Ohio State, these are huge universities, and I'm talking 50, 60,000 students. They're what they call land grant institutions, which means they get a ton of funding from our federal government, state governments, and all. I'm not even sure how they all get funded, but there's a lot of money that goes into them. And so that's why those institutions have to, set certain caps on things. Your private institutions, Northwestern University, great university, I'm sure. MIT, great university. If they want to charge $200,000 a year, they could do that. If they say, if you give us $1 million, we'll make sure your kids gets into university, they can probably do that kind of stuff. It's the land grant universities that I think, and it becomes, and you and I were talking about this, a moral issue.
Yeah.
For the parent doing that.
Yeah. I don't think, obviously, the story, if you haven't watched it, William Rick Singer created this scheme where he would bribe admissions offices. The athletic department was targeted to help students get into certain universities. The parents paid huge amounts of money relative to the cost of actually getting there, which is substantial in itself. So their kids could enroll and get qualified to go to that university or college. And obviously the bribery part is not a good thing. But I don't think a university should be prohibited from somebody walking up and saying, here's $1 million, I want my kid to go to school because they couldn't make it in the, through their grades and stuff, but I still want them to go to Harvard. I don't think that's a problem. I don't think it's I don't think it's an issue. I think the university should be able to do that. Obviously, the university is, if your pool of people that you're allowing in is based on money, less than grades, you're not going to have as many Nobel Peace Prize and presidents and congressmen and prime ministers that you would have coming out of your university over time. But I think restricting a university or saying that you have to create a system that prohibits someone from buying their way into university, I don't think I don't think it's wrong. I don't understand how that's a problem. Now, someone might say, well, if somebody pays $1 million, I was watching the program, and some people were like, they took a spot from somebody else, and it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's certain amount of spots, but that's implying that Harvard and these Ivy League schools, Harvard just comes to mind, but there's many, should continue to build out their schools so they can every year they can take on more people to an infinite amount of people. I don't think that's realistic either. I don't think we should restrict people from transparently using wealth to get things. Just because your kid gets into into some university, I keep saying Harvard, but it could be any Stanford, it could be anywhere, Northwestern, MIT. So what? They get into the university, they're not. It doesn't mean they're going to get a degree or some special degree, or they're able to survive a year or two at that level if the level's there. So who cares? I don't see the problem with doing that personally. I don't think education should be free. I think there's a lot of things around education and a sense of entitlement from people of what their government or system should give them. Should we have basic education? I think that's absolutely necessary to function. Most places, most economies, you're getting up to high school. It's free education. There's some countries like Germany where you can go to university basically for nothing. But that doesn't necessarily equate to a better quality of life for people. It doesn't equate to, being a richer country because your population is more educated. Canada is the most educated country in the world, I believe, at something like 50, maybe even 56% of the population has higher education. But GDP per capita, I think we're 18th in the world. So it's not like because we have a more educated population, we have more wealth or production of wealth, or even quality of life, one could argue, because we have so many people educated. You do pay for university here. It's heavily subsidized by the government. So excuse me. So it's not free. It does cost money. I think we're in the top 10 for highest cost of education in the world. But it does, there's not a direct relationship between people being educated and the quality of life. Is there a level that there is? I'm sure there is. I think that you need to educate your population. But I think this idea of the way the story was told and stuff, and I'm sure it was accurate in many respects. I think people want to make money the villain. I think it really is a people problem. I don't think it's, taking the bribe is the problem, not the money necessarily involved. I think that we tend to forget that there is no freedom without responsibility. There is no freedom without responsibility. So there's a cost to certain freedoms, right? There's a cost that you have to pay. A tragic one that can be tragic. When we mentioned earlier, we were talking about this, is gun laws in the U.S. and other countries where you can carry guns. Obviously, the U.S. is dominant in that area of freedom to bear arms, the right to bear arms. And I think that people, you have to recognize if you want people to have guns, there's going to be a cost to that freedom. And every once in a while, unfortunately, like recently in the news, like in Colorado, somebody goes a little crazy with that freedom and hurts people. Now, does that mean that they should get rid of all guns? I think this is a difficult question. I really do. And I'm not a gun owner. I'm not a proponent of having a gun or anything like that. But I get concerned when people want other people to live by our moral code, a specific way to think and to see the world. And I don't want to get into this this particular topic, but we were also talking about the whole race situation in the world, not just in the United States, in the world. And I think it's very difficult to make people think a certain way or feel a certain way. Now, should someone be allowed to impose these, biases that you have in the world, in business and in environments? Should people be prohibited because of the way they look or the way they live? I don't think so. I don't think that that's right either. But I think the idea of trying to make people think a certain way or feel a certain way, I think, is extremely difficult, and it goes into, laws. I really believe that laws are designed to stop us from being immoral, but to make laws that make you moral, I think that's extremely difficult. Proactive laws. So you can tell me I can't, walk down the street and just punch someone in the face. I mean, I can't do that, right? There's laws that say if you do that, there's a thing. But me feeling like I want to punch that person in the face shouldn't be illegal, right? That shouldn't be illegal, right? Or if I see somebody drowning, should I have to, by law, try to save them? I think that's another problem, right? Now, and I might go into that pool and try to save that person, and they end up drowning because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a lifeguard, right? So, and now am I responsible, right? Am I liable for that person's death? Because certainly I contributed to it, right? I jumped in the pool because, the law says I have to. Now, if your moral code says you jump in, which if you're asking me, I would jump in and try to save them, and it's something to contemplate. I mean, if you're not equipped, maybe you're hurt in the situation. But the point being is,
Well,
I think there's a limit. Yeah.
you're not saying you're jumping in and pushing them down further. That's
No,
not
no.
okay, just making sure.
No, but I think that it's difficult to live in an environment where people are trying to tell you the way to feel and the way to think. I think that's sacred. I think that there has to be some limitations to the obligation of a citizen and the recognition that a citizen has the right to their own feelings and their own view of the world. And that view might be in conflict with yours, and that's okay, right? That's the whole point. We get to live in the same place, even though we don't see the world exactly the same place. And I would argue that nobody sees the world exactly the same way. That just doesn't happen. So, going back full circle to the education question, I'd like to ask, you folks, do you think education should be free? What problems do you see, or do you think that it's a good thing that education should be free? Just some things to consider about that. If I pay your education, and this is a hot topic, by the way, because in the U.S. they're trying to push some legislation or trying to drum up some legislation about lifting student debt, and I think that can be problematic. Because if I pay for you to be, you decide you want to be a doctor or a teacher or an engineer or whatever it is. I mean, whatever you like to, want to pursue, and you decide you want to be an engineer, and I pay, your education's free. I pay for it. What's to say that you don't get up one day right after graduation and you move to Luxembourg, right? Highest GDP in the world. You think I'm going to go to Luxembourg, right? I mean, people live well there. They have more money than anybody. Let's move to Luxembourg. And my education that I paid for, and I say mine because I paid for it, and I should have some claim to it. I think that this person leaves, right? Or do I say to this person, "You're a doctor now. I paid for your education. You have to be a doctor here for 10 years." I think these requests they don't make sense to me. So, what's the solution? What do we do here? Someone pays for their own education. They have full right to their education. They can leave anywhere, go anywhere around the world and use that education to make money. But if you're being asked to pay for it, I don't think I'm going to have spin class as a university credit. I don't think I'm going to do that. If I have to pay for it. I mean, I'm not against physical health, but a spin class, and you get a credit towards your university, I don't think I want to do that. Maybe I don't want to. And I love philosophy. I took philosophy in university. I mean, I loved it. maybe I don't want you to study philosophy. Maybe I think we need more engineers. I'm not going to pay for philosophy. So that program is going to go. I think there's a whole bunch of problems with this idea of free education. And there's no evidence, or not enough evidence either way, really, but there's not a lot of evidence saying that if a country is educated, they're going to be richer. Um, is there a level of education necessary? Absolutely. But is there, am I as a citizen responsible for educating you to every whim or every degree that you want? I don't think so. I don't think it works. I don't think it functions. I think that people need to have freedom, and they need to be responsible for that freedom and recognize the cost of that freedom. And we're not talking about, and I want to recognize, I mean, let's talk about the United States and Canada. You could pretty much, I mean, anybody who has the sufficient grades to go to university or college in the United States, Canada, is going for almost nothing. Like, you can go. You absolutely can go. The United States actually has more grants and what do you call those things, Pep? What do you call those when you get to go to education for free? What's that called again?
Scholarships and grants.
There you go. Scholarship programs on anybody. I mean, you don't have to go to Harvard. You can go to a state university. It's still a university, and you can transfer from a state university or a community college to some other university that you want to go to. You do 2 years there, and you can go to a Ivy League or whatever it is that you want to go to. There's nothing really stopping you from doing it. Now, if you're talking about, well, this person doesn't have the money or the time or this is other things that you're talking about. People don't have equal opportunity to access. I disagree. Does circumstance play into that? If you're a low income family, does that become a problem where there was a time when I was going to university that I needed money. I needed to work. So I worked, left university. I worked. That's what I had to do. But is it the university's fault? Is it the government's fault? Whose fault is it that I had to work to make money to meet my basic needs? I mean, it's a circumstance for sure. It's a crappy one, not one that I was excited about. But I think that there has to be some accountability and responsibility for being a citizen in a country, and recognizing that not everything's going to be easy, not everything's going to be free, you're not entitled to everything. There is responsibility with those freedoms. You don't just get them and there's no consequence. You got to recognize that, and I think there needs to be a balance. So this idea of free education and free this and free that, I don't think they function. I don't see a lot of evidence that it's a good idea. If you want to build wealth, if you want to allow someone to pursue the creation of wealth for their own pursuit of happiness, I think it's important to create a balance where the government gives you the opportunity to be wealthy, but they don't make you wealthy. That doesn't work. They don't make you wealthy. I don't like the government participating in too many things when it comes to the economy. I don't like them, even like we were saying earlier. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal that you pay $1 million to go to Harvard. I don't understand the problem. The bribery part, obviously, and breaking the rules, obviously those are not good things. But why can't a university say it's $1 million to get into your kid if your kid doesn't have the grades? If you want them to go to university, here's $1 million. We're not guaranteeing them a degree or anything. Like, they still got to go to class and they still got to meet their grade requirements. But and if let's be honest, let's go further. What if a university like Harvard said, well, hey, your kid just can't cut it, but if you give us another $1 million, we'll give you a degree. I think that's okay too. I do. I think this is all transparent, like everybody knows. So what? You got a degree, you buy your degree from Harvard. This is going to diminish and tarnish the value of that asset if you can just literally buy it, and what's the degree mean anymore? But for a university to be prohibited from it, I mean, if they want to run like that and knock yourself out, I mean, there's a cost. There's always a cost. It's not free. So I think there needs to be a greater responsibility put by the individual, not by others, but by themselves, to recognize the blessing of being in an environment where we have really so many great freedoms, but they do come with responsibilities. Pip, you want to add to that?
Well, I got a couple comments on here.
Yeah.
We can address. One was no on the free education. It's skewing things in a way that leaves us very weak in the skilled trades.
Can be, yeah, for sure.
Probably some validity to that. Then another one, but doesn't higher education lead to less crime in society? There's a benefit for that. I may pay to not get shot in the future.
Okay, so interesting point. I think a strong economy is what drives down crime. I don't think there's a direct relationship with higher education. You're necessarily going to have no crime because everyone's educated. Because I'll tell you what would upset some people is getting a PhD and working at Starbucks. I think that would be someone who I'd be worried about because they can't find a job because everyone's got a PhD. So should you take some accountability as a society to educate your individuals so they can function in your society? I absolutely agree with you, but I don't think it's because everyone's got a PhD there's going to be no crime. I think that if people are their basic needs are met plus something more, they can pursue to increase their wealth more. I think that has more to do with crime than anything. If in economies that are struggling, crime rates go up. I mean, just crime rates, and there is, I don't even know if this is a direct quote from the Bible. I believe it is, right? Idle hands, right? Idle hands. What is it, Pip? Do you know the quote? Idle hands are the hands of the devil. I don't know what it is exactly, but when people aren't, doing something or active in something, especially in their own future, I think that's more related to it. I think there's jobs, money, the ability to pursue a better quality of life has more to do with it than anything else. There's lots of places that are highly educated, but there's not, it's not like there's no crime. There's crime in Canada. I mean, there's definitely crime in Canada. We're the most educated population in the world. You're not going to eliminate crime, I think, through education. Is education a contributor? I believe it is. I don't think it's the most biggest impact. And I'm not a sociologist. I just play one on TV. Did study in university, but I mean, I'm not an expert in that area. I think that if an economy is functioning and people have jobs and they're making money and they're able to produce a future and invest in their own future, I think that's what's going to reduce the crime and the likelihood of you getting shot. And if if that was as simple as it was, I think I'd be on board with you. I would. If you could tell me and prove to me that everyone getting a PhD, if everyone got a PhD, no one will get shot, I'd be on board with that. I just don't think it's real. I just don't think it's an accurate, that's the primary.
Well, I think the problem you have with whatever, I'm not even getting into the crime part of it, but if everybody can get something and it's, attainable for everybody, and we as a society make it attainable for everybody, then we lost all reason to want to be. I mean, I don't know how to say that.
It just becomes, no value. There's no value.
Why you have a PhD if everybody has one?
Yeah, it's no value. And what's interesting?
You got to have a PhD plus. You have to have
it'll be PhD plus. I'll tell you something that does reduce crime. That has nothing to do with education and can curb a weak economy is CTV. That's monitoring your people, having cameras everywhere. China's got pretty low crime rate, and their population, education, the number, they're not in the top 10 list of educated people in the world, but they have very low crime rate, and has to do, I think, more with being Big Brother and having cameras and and watching their individuals and monitoring them. But they're not the only country. I mean, the UK's got CTV everywhere. So I think that the direct correlation between education and crime, is there a correlation? Is there a relationship? Sure. Is it the primary? I don't think so. I don't think you solve that problem by educating everybody. If everybody's got a PhD and no one's got a job, I think you're going to have crime. I think there's going to be a problem. So I think, again, right, you want your population to be educated at a certain level, to take that responsibility as a society, as a citizen, But at what point do you say, okay, I got you ready for the way we live here. Knock yourself out. From here on in, you get to choose what you want. But that's the freedom. I mean, that's I get to go to university and choose that I want to do spin class, but I paid for it and I own that property. I own that intellectual property. I think that having other people pay for it, and having them claim that you have to stay in the country or do something, I don't think that's functional. I don't. So do
Well,
people
I
think it should be free?
well, we just have one comment on that. Nobody ever said nobody said free education. I don't think that's come up on the chat box yet. But I mean, heck, the whole university thing in the U.S. you could get it into the athletic side of it, and it's a whole nother level
Sure.
of issues. And where I mean, I've seen multiple times over the years where a star player wants to go to a specific university, and then their dad becomes an assistant coach on the team.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so that's an interesting dichotomy of that. But
Sure.
it really, you know, the athletic side of it's, I think, probably way more skewed as far as being, uh, what's the word I want to use? Not good. And then what am I trying to say? Where there's a lot of issues,
Corruption.
corruption. There's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
More so than the academic side, and that whole college education scandal had to happen on the academic side, not the athletic side. And so I think there's way more scandal on the athletic side of it in the university system.
What's wrong with paying students to play the athletics if they earn money? I don't understand. I don't understand these things. I don't understand the problem with that. I really don't. I think the problem is when something is happening, pretending like it's not happening or refusing to be transparent. I mean, stop. This is like, what they try with prohibition. I mean, there's still people, there's speakeasies, people were still drinking. I mean, and same with the thing with marijuana. Marijuana was happening everywhere. So governments, states said, forget it, like it's happening. Why not, just regulate, put some regulations on it, earn some tax dollars on it. There's lots of revenue there. We can revert that money to places that need it. I don't understand what's wrong with that. And of course, I mean, it's a slippery slope. People think, well, should listen, some serious drugs be legal? Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that at what limit, and there is a limit, I'm sure there is. What limit are you supposed to protect people from themselves? I mean, I think that there has to be some balance. I think this idea that we have the right, we don't control other people. You shouldn't tell me the way I feel or the way I think. I think this stuff on the internet, some of it, it's just outrageous. It's ridiculous. It's insane. People actually think they have the right to tell people what to think and what to feel. And then when people don't feel like they do, they lose their mind. I don't understand this. Like, do you really think you control the innards, the insides of people, like their mind? That's insane. Now, kids, can someone, be in trouble if they try to, express that, in prohibiting people to do certain things or have certain things? No, I don't think that's right. I don't think you have to, put some things in place for that. But to say that someone can't think a certain way, or, you can feel like that person's an idiot or they're not a good person. That's your right. But this the stuff that's going on, some of the stuff is it reminds me of Rome. It reminds me of the mob of Rome, controlling. The mob's never been stronger in the world. I mean, if we're living in Rome, this is Rome. The internet is the mob, and they seem to be able to quickly put empires to their heels or emperors to their heels, which again, you have the right to express yourself. I just this idea that you can control other people. I mean, I tell this to my son all the time. I really do. You don't have the right to control other people. You don't have that right. You don't have that. Nobody can do it. So, stop imposing your beliefs how people should live on. Don't impose it on them. Live the way you want to live. Absolutely, you should be able to live the way you want to live, but don't impose that on other people. Don't tell people, they can't think that way or feel that way. You can call them an idiot if they, if you think that they're saying something ridiculous, right? That's fine, but you can't do anything beyond expressing your opinion. I don't get. I don't get trying to slay dragons on the internet. I just think it's crazy. Some of the stuff on there it's boundless. It's boundless. It's we're crazier than we've ever been because of the internet. I mean, we're yeah.
Well, here we'll get some debate going for you. So, how do you feel about the fact that the Twitters and the Facebooks and whatever other social medias are that are out there are able to put you in Facebook jail or say you can't have a Twitter account anymore because of stuff you said? We have free speech as a country.
Right. I don't think that you should be able to do that. I don't think they should be doing that. Now, there's that gray area with inciting action, inciting violence. That's a problem, right? But even that it's extremely difficult. I really believe that people should have the right to express themselves, feel the way they feel, think the way they think, and even speak it. The right to free speech, I believe, is very, very important. I don't, telling somebody because they feel a certain way about something to be banned because they feel that way or they think the world looks like this, I think I don't think that's right. I don't think that's good. I think that, again, what's the concern? What's the fear? Like, what's the fear? What are you afraid of? All it's going to tell you is where the crazies are. I mean, if you don't let these people talk, you won't know where the crazies are. So it's better to let them talk and let them flock all together so you get them in all one room, right? One chat room. but to say to these people, you can't, it's insane to me. I mean, I don't think there should be a Twitter jail or anything like that. I really believe that this is the price of freedom. You're going to hear stuff, people, that you don't like. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say I have the right to say what I want, but you don't have the right to say what you want because you're wrong and I'm right. This is insane. I don't agree with. I think there should be a freedom of speech and expression should be ultimate. I mean, if you can't do that, what are you? What do you have? I mean, what do you have? So you got to recognize, if you want that freedom, you have to let other people say things that you don't like or you disagree with. There's limits to this, and again, right? There's limits to inciting actions or telling people to take actions on behalf of these feelings or thoughts. I think is a problem. I think that could be something that should be addressed. But expressing that you think this or you think that, I think that's ridiculous. Like, what do you think you're doing by shutting these people up? I don't understand. What are you afraid of? This is like, with all due respect, it's like burning books. Like, it's burning books, and not letting people have certain, and this is happening again. I don't want to pick on China, but they're guilty of it. I mean, they control a lot of the stuff that's coming into the country through the internet and media and stuff like that. So you need to just let people express themselves and deal with it. You want the right, you got to give it to other people. That's the deal. So I think it's ridiculous, but I think we shouldn't have these Twitter jails and
aren't we burning books right now? The Dr. Seuss and some of the other stuff.
Is that happening? Oh, I guess people are saying that these some of these books are I don't know, what's the word?
Probably, I'm going to say depicting people in a bad light. So I guess I'm assuming that's the end argument is racism.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I have a huge opinion. Somebody, a lot of times when somebody says you offended them, you didn't know you offended them until after they tell you that.
Sure.
And it can be just ignorance. And does that mean we all need to be better educated? Amen. We always need to be better educated. Sure. Goes back to your original discussion.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean you know, so if I'm driving through a city and I go too fast because I didn't see the speed limit, okay. And if I mean, you know, obviously I'm going too fast and maybe I scared some of the pedestrians or some other driver, but okay, you give me a ticket, you tell me I shouldn't do it again, and I don't. I've paid the price. That's
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I don't.
exactly. I
Yeah.
don't think. I think again with the books, and I've heard a little bit about that too. I didn't know Dr. Seuss was on the hit list, but burning books or burning, history books or literature because you don't like what was depicted or said in there. Again, I mean, really? I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand. Why would you want to do that? If you don't want to read the book, don't read the book. What are you afraid of if someone reads the book? Like what are you worried about? So they read the book, you know? How is it that you are so enlightened and all the rest of us are just idiots? And if we read that book, we're just going to be, we're going to descend into the abyss of all these bad things. But you've come on, like nonsense, you know? This is the reality. Uh, I'm not saying everybody's the brightest bulb on the tree either. I'm not saying that everybody's going to read that and discard it or be able to decipher, what they should listen to and what they shouldn't. But you don't have the right to tell them, you know, you don't even get to read this book because you're just too stupid to really understand this or how bad it is. So we're just going to take this. I mean, we're not children. I mean, with kids, should we prohibit some things? Sure. Should I have let Isaiah watch Die Hard when he was 11? Probably not. And just so you know, my son. So I'll tell you this quick story. So my wife was away for the day, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to show my kid the best action film of all time, which is Die Hard. So we start watching Die Hard, and I hadn't seen it in years. So we start watching Die Hard, and if you haven't seen it in years, you forget. There's a lot of swearing in it. So it lasted about 10 minutes. And my kid turned to me and said to me, Dad, I think we have to shut this off. I can't watch this anymore. My son said that to me, and I was like, oh my gosh. What have I done? So I did shut it off and make the kid watch it. But should we take some responsibility, accountability of what we're letting our children be exposed to? Of course, of course. But when you get into adulthood, there has to be a line where it's like, hey, I'm not breaking the law. I'm not hurting anybody. And I'd like to read about blah, 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 or I'd like to read this book or this opinion or this idea. I don't think you can telling people you can't make people be moral. This is nonsense. You can stop them from being immoral, but you can't make people moral. That's not the way you do it. That's not, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do this. No, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. Absolutely. That's the law, right? That's how the law is built. But proactive, telling someone they have to think this way and they have to think that way, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That to me is insane. I don't even say, we were talking a little bit earlier. I don't think you have the right too much about anything that goes on in someone's head, someone's heart. I don't think you get the right to tell them, they can't think that or feel that. I think the idea is ridiculous to me, and I think that just be free, let other people be free, be good to yourself and take responsibility and be good to other people and obviously live by your own moral code. As long as it's not impeding or breaking the law or impeding other people from pursuing their happiness, I don't see the problem. I really don't see the challenge with letting people express themselves. So, and that includes the internet and gosh, it's the mob. I mean, it's it's unbelievable how quickly the mob can come out and just try to destroy someone. It's crazy to me. But I mean, on the other end of that, right? They're expressing themselves. They're expressing themselves and doing that. I just don't think either party should be prohibited from expressing themselves. I really don't. That's my view, Pep. What's your view?
My view. I got a great story about my daughter and seeing a movie too.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was just reading some of the comments here. Somebody was talking about Dr. Seuss a little bit, and then talking about moral codes and things like that. Well, I mean, it's obviously the parents' responsibility to educate their kids on what the parents feel is right or wrong. So if a kid's racist, it's because the parents have taught them to be racist. If a kid is has a really bad temper, they've seen that from their parents or in some way, especially at a very young age, because they don't have enough outside. I mean, if they're 6 and they're watching Die Hard, well, then of course they're going to say F it, because that's what Bruce Willis says. But if they're 11, now you can have a discussion with them about, okay, this is probably a bad word or whatever. And you can start that at a younger age. I think I've told you this story, Sam. So when Riley, she's my oldest, she was, I'm going to say 6 or 7. She wasn't that old. And her little sister was staying at her grandma's, and my wife and I and Riley were staying at my sister's house. It was over a Thanksgiving holiday. And so Riley was like the only kid for that evening. And she thought she was pretty cool because she didn't have to worry about her younger sister being around. And so my sister said, hey, you guys want to watch the movie? We said, sure. And the movie that hadn't been out for long is it's Sandra Bullock, The Blind Side. You seen the movie?
Oh, yeah.
The Blind Side? And so at this point, Riley had really not even watched any movies she called it with real people in them. She just liked the Pixar stuff and anything that was a cartoon. She loved all the Disney stuff. So if it had real people in it, she really didn't even want to see the movie.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting because I was just kind of the way she was. And so we were getting ready to watch the movie, and my wife, Jen, says to Riley, Riley says, can I stay up and watch the movie too? And Jen was like, I don't know, this is more of an adult movie kind of thing. And she says, oh, Mom, please, typical 7-year-old or whatever she was. Sure. And so then I say to her, I say, just want to let you know, Riley, I haven't seen the movie, but there probably could be some adult words in it and things like that. I just want to let you know there might be some words you haven't heard before, and I just want to let you know that. She says, oh, Dad, I hear bad words all the time. I said, what? She said, yeah, Mom says bad words when you're not around all the time. And I'm like, what? And the look on Jennifer's face, she literally is just looking at her like, what the heck are you talking about? And I go, Riley, what does she say? Well, I can't say them. They're bad words. And Jen goes, you have my permission, Riley, to say any bad word that I say to you. You can say it in front of all of us, right? What are the bad words? She said, and Riley got kind of embarrassed. She's like, well, it's always about my toys. And I said, what? She's, yeah, she always says bad words about my toys. I said, what are the words? She says that they're dumb and stupid and get this crap out of the way. And I'm like, oh, dumb, stupid, and crap. Those were her levels of bad words.
Oh, God.
Not to the Die Hard level, but what's the parent's responsibility?
Right.
Tell you, we accept this, we don't accept this, or this is what we believe. If you choose to believe something different, then that's your call, not ours.
Right.
So I've noticed the internet, and a lot of people want to put it into a political perspective, but I think it's the internet that's really changed it, and it's become this moral compass of either you if you don't agree with somebody, then you're a bad person, and they can hate you.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the things you said tonight, somebody's going to disagree with you, and they're literally going to hate you because you said it, not because you have a difference of opinion, just because you're wrong and they're right. And I don't like that two sides of the fence there. To me, I could talk about gun control for hours.
Yeah.
And I've never shot a gun in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm very conservative in many of my opinions. But that's another one I feel like there's some issues with that too.
Yeah.
So I believe it's a matter of the parents. Whatever your belief system is, try to instill that in your kids, and hopefully they turn out okay that way. Can they go in a totally different direction? I guarantee, I don't know what the guy's name was that shot the people at either the massage parlors last week or the grocery store shooting.
Grocery store, I believe, in Colorado.
I don't know who those parents were, but I'm pretty confident the parents probably didn't bring them up to be mass murderers. I don't think that's ever the issue. So something goes crazy in here, and it's about a knowledge base and making sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, you can't, as soon as you take away all those freedoms, then you have way different problems. Somebody's making a comment in here. We're going backwards to communist and socialist government that failed. History already proved that. Younger generations are brainwashed thinking equality and free education and healthcare are a good thing. And that, I mean, and the person that's putting that out there is Asian descent as well. And I know her from Chicago. And so we can all, I mean, and I'm not trying to be racist. I'm just pointing that out to you because you probably don't see it, Sam. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree. I want to be the freest country that I can possibly be. Is there a price to do that? Yes,
Yes.
there is.
Yes.
If we're not willing to pay that price, that's somebody's call. And they don't, they don't have to be here maybe, or maybe they need to take a portion of the country and go in a different direction. But if we choose to, if Texas says we all want to own guns, by all means, don't move to Texas if you don't like guns.
There you go. There you go. That's the interesting thing in the United States. There's states that have very, very strong restrictions on guns. You can't carry them. You can't, open carry in some places like Florida and Texas. That's a great point. I mean, you don't have to live in that state. You can move. You can move. You can live. It's a wonderful time to be alive, and I'll tell you why. You can live just about any way you want in this, and find a place in this world that says it's okay. I think that's a great testament to the time that we're living in. I think that to complain that the world isn't the way I want it to be right where I am, and it should change because I want it to, because it needs to live like I live. I think that although you have the right to complain about it and express it, I think the idea that the world should bend for you, I think is going to be difficult for you. And I'm not saying, we don't shape our own world, or we don't participate, or you can't bend the world. I'm just saying that you can't expect when you're ready that everybody else is ready to do whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah, Pep.
Well, I mean, I don't know why I've got so many stories, but I mean, this is another cool story. Like I said, I'm scared to death of guns. I think if I had a gun, the only person that's going to get hurt is me. That's just how I feel about them. A lot of other people have a different feeling, especially where I live in this part of the country. So I'm not for the gun control that a lot of people are, but I don't carry a gun. I don't like them. I'm scared to death of them. But it was kind of funny. Interestingly enough, Sam, I'm not going to mention names today, but both of the people that I'm going to talk about, I had conversations on the phone with both of them today. And so I was in, I believe, Austin or San Antonio or Dallas, one of those cities down there in Texas. And it was a Saturday night, and we're going to eat at a cheesecake factory in Texas. Okay. Well, of course I want to go to Cheesecake Factory. I love cheesecake. Why wouldn't I want to go to Cheesecake Factory? So I'm walking in with these people, and I didn't even notice it. And two of the guys in our group, as soon as we got to the front door, left. And the other three of us started to go in. I go, where did those guys go? To one of the other people in our group. They said, oh, they had to go take their guns back to the truck because there's no Cheesecake Factory won't let them have a gun in here. And I just went, whoa, that's interesting, because I didn't know they had guns with them. I had no clue. It wasn't like they were brandishing them, and it wasn't like they were saying, come on down. And so it's just, I think if we just learn to live with other people's differences, whatever they are, I don't have an opinion. I mean, I wouldn't carry one, but if they want to, and like I said, I've talked to both of them on the phone today. So it wasn't like these are people from 20 years ago in my life. This is within the last 3 years. And I talked to both of them because I do business with both of these guys. It's just interesting that, Cheesecake Factory wants to make the rule. Texas has one rule that says you have open carry, but Cheesecake Factory says don't bring them in here. Well, that Cheesecake Factory's paying taxes. Cheesecake Factory's doing whatever they do. So as long as everybody's cool with that, then you take them back out to your truck.
That's it.
It's interesting.
It's funny. One could argue that, I don't know, we're on guns now, but one could argue if you want to ban guns, then I think you should say that police officers can't have them either. Like, if nobody can have them, nobody can have them, because you're saying that the problem is the people, and people can't be trusted with guns. So why would we trust the police? And I'm not saying that's the way it should be. I'm just saying if you're going to say guns and people don't mix, I think that should be across the board. The UK, I believe, that's exactly how it is in the UK. I don't believe the police officers there carry guns. So, I mean, guns are banned, huge restrictions there. I don't, that's not my feeling myself necessarily. I'm just saying if police officers can carry guns, which in my view, I think that that's not a bad thing at all that they're carrying weapons. Um, how can I say that other people can't carry weapons? So there's a problem there, a conflict for me. Really, there is. I don't want anybody to carry a gun except police officers. But why? I mean, they've been trained obviously to use a weapon, but then couldn't citizens be trained to use a weapon? They are. Many are, and many places make you get trained if you want to carry a weapon. So we're becoming a police officer, which for many people is a calling. I recognize that, but the fact is that they're a person, and they're susceptible to challenges just like everybody else. So do I tell police officers they can't carry guns? I think this is a very, very difficult thing. And it all comes back to, there is no freedom without responsibility. There's a cost. And you got to ask yourself if you're willing to pay the cost. And if you're not, then you know what to do. If you're not willing to pay the cost, then you know what you need to do. You need to get rid of them all. To take that away. But there's other costs that you're paying for. It's something else. Is like Pip said, there's other issues that come out from that. And I would rather. I believe in people. I do believe in people, and I believe that people are simple in desire and simple to understand, because they want what I want. They want to be happy. They want to feel safe. Majority of people. Safe, happy. They want to take care of their people. They want to take care of their community. They want to be, a good force. And some people at different levels, right? Some people are not interested in being significant beyond, their circle of people or their family, which is fine. Or they want to live alone. That's fine. I think you should really, if you are responsible enough to have an opinion, I think you should recognize that other people are. It's this idea that police officers or other people are like, some of the stories with the police officers, like police officers are corrupt. So you're saying if you were a police officer, you wouldn't be corrupt, is what you're saying, right? And you're the one person that can be a cop and not be corrupt, but every other cop is corrupt. This stuff, it doesn't even make sense to me. So if you believe that you're good and that you get it and you understand, I think you have to believe that other people can too. This is the reality. So be free and recognize the responsibility, recognize the cost, and decide how you want to live. And again, beautiful time to live. You can live anywhere you want, and pretty much you'll be welcomed with open arms for almost the craziest stuff.
Well,
You gotta go how you want to live. Anyways, go ahead, Pep.
well, I just say, this has not been a wealth debate discussion at all.
But you know what? It all is related. I do believe that. And wealth is not just monetary, right? And we would argue, and I know I'm speaking for Pep, time is everything. So quality trumps everything. We just recognize that money's related to quality and quantity. We're not going to pretend. We're not ready to be monks on a mountain just yet. So
if you have more money and go buy more guns and more bullets, is that what you're saying?
I just say that we would like to live a certain way, and it costs money. So we recognize that money is involved in our personal lives and many of the people that we talk to and train. We need to recognize how to get our arms around it, get control of it, and recognize it as a tool.
Well, Sam, we are 55 minutes into our stuff tonight. We said at the very beginning, what's kind of funny is when we started these, we said half hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops. We've had some that have been an hour and a half. So
sure.
Either way, I'm going to say, if you guys have any questions for us,
yeah,
I hope they're not political, because I don't even want to get into those discussions, because I always look at that. I don't like to argue. We shouldn't have ever called this a debate, because I'm not an arguer. I learned a long time ago, I'd rather be happy than right. We'll agree to disagree on stuff, and that's completely fine. So, Sam, you have any final thoughts for the evening?
Just be you. Just be you and let other people be them. And it's okay. Don't get too upset about anybody else's opinion, and don't take yourself so seriously. I mean, what we know is we don't know. That's about it. That's a beautiful thing.
I can definitely make a short story long. I know that. And you can make a short story even longer. So with that being said, next week, same bat channel, same bat time. I do want to plug one thing. Next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have a 4-day Find the Money challenge. I'm going to be actually doing all the training on that one. And so we won't be Sam or Steve or anybody else. It'll be me talking that whole time. So if you don't know what the Find the Money challenge is, Bradley, I don't know if you're out there. I just saw you make a post. Bradley, if you could put the link, if you got it, I don't know, I don't have it right at the moment. If you could put the link for the 4-day challenge, if anybody wants to click onto that, they can. That's going to be next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have giveaways 3 of the 4 days. I got a book bundle, got all the books sitting over there on a table right now that I'm going to give away on Tuesday. We've got a $100 gift card we're giving away on Wednesday and a $250 Amazon gift card on Thursday. So we were going to do a 5-day one, but the week from Friday is Good Friday, so we thought we better not do that. So we're just going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The other thing that I'm going to announce, and it's very preliminary, we are going to be back in a hotel room.
Yes.
I don't know about my Canadian friends yet. We haven't got them out of quarantine. Haven't got them out of quarantine, but and I know some of you guys are going, well, you're going to be in our area. Well, we're going to be in Dallas is where we're going to be. We're going to be in Dallas, and there'll be a lot more future stuff on this. And I tentatively put some dates out there today, June 24th, 25th, and 26th. And those are a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we're going to be doing some training down in Dallas, a 3-day basic real estate training. So if you know anybody that's interested in that, send me a private message. I will obviously be promoting that a gabillion times between now and June 25th or whatever I just said. So thanks, Bradley, for putting that in there. I appreciate it. He's got Monday's 4-day challenge on there, and the 4-day challenge is free. So get on there and have some fun Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Anything else, Sam?
See you next week on the Wealth Debate. Great hanging out.
We'll see you guys next time. You're going to be all right. Now I got to figure out how to turn this thing off. I forgot to do that with my glasses. So this will be on the end of it. It's okay. It's okay.